Yeah.
All right. Where is it? Here. Are you ready?
I am waiting for
Great.
you.
Welcome to the 4 point. Nah, yeah, let's do it
Again, you're gonna do that
again
every week.
every week.
Go for it.
Okay. No. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's one. It's still 9:23. Okay. Welcome to the 4 Point Plate podcast. It's Alberto, Italian, living in the Philippines, and on the line we have Samy, French, living in Melbourne. The both of us are very excited because it's the All-Star Game weekend. How are you, Samy? What's your plan? What's your schedule for this weekend?
I actually will probably watch the Rising Stars game, or I will at least I will try to. And then this week I've been injured for the last few months, but I'm gonna start playing again this week and this weekend. So I'm actually going to play ball, not in the All-Star game. I'm sorry. But I'm actually going to play basketball. I'll try to watch a lot of the highlights of the game when you have scores going into 150 to or 180 to 170. It's usually best just to skip to the highlights.
Nice.
That's my
Man.
plan. What about you?
I play basketball. I went back to playing basketball last week for the first time, and I
How
was
was it?
surprised because my back is fine, and I was able to walk. And I really enjoyed it. I don't know why, and I don't know how. I was one of the best players on the court. So I still.
Do you look a little bit like Boban in the Philippines, where you're the tallest man on the court and just walking very slowly, but blocking every shot?
No, man, I wasn't walking slowly. I was actually sprinting, and I was surprised with my fitness level, considering that I've just been eating and not playing any sports. But anyway, let's not be boring. Our followers are hungry for our 3-1. Sorry, one.
You totally stole it from me.
I stole it from you, man. I stole it from you because I deserve, and because your Lakers are currently sucking. But let's not talk about your Lakers, who actually lost to the Hawks last night. Let's get right into the first topic of the week. As you know, there are many events during the All-Star Game weekend. There have been quite a few changes over the last 3 or 4 years. In 2015, the rookies versus sophomores version has been changed, and it's now USA versus the rest of the world. But the way I'm looking at it this year, I'm looking at it as if we were back onto rookies versus sophomores. So I have 2 questions for you, Samy, today. The first question is, if there were to be a game, like a real game, between not an all-star game, not practice, exactly, not just, hey, let's dunk or let's shoot 20 3-pointers each. My question is, if there was a serious game between the two, between rookies and sophomores, who would win? And my second question is, regarding the sophomores. What's happening to the sophomores this year? Why has the Aaron Fox been the only one who's actually able to elevate this game this year? And obviously we can talk about Ben Simmons and whatnot. And also Jason Tatum and the massive dunk he had on Ben Simmons last night. But what's happening again to the 2017 draft class? You don't want to talk about the guy who just got traded to Orlando, Markelle Fultz. My question is, why is it happening? And do you think it's going to happen to this year rookies as well?
Well, I think that's difficult to predict. I think that some of maybe I'll start with that question and then I'll answer who would win between rookies and sophomores. I I think the expectations that we all had about guys like Tatum and um, Mitchell and Donovan Mitchell and Ben Simmons, the rookie who's not a rookie, this year was really, really high. And to be fair, I think they have been performing okay. They just haven't been playing at a level where you have to remember that last year, I think what was most impressive, yes, they had great seasons, but they also confirmed during the playoffs that they could take their talent to the next level. And so I think everyone was certainly expecting them to be, wow, these new superstars. But it's only the second year in the league. And I think you still need to adjust, even if it's your second year in the league, to, the fact that you have to do it again for another 82 games. And it's not, the teams are not preparing for you. They have full, I guess, report and scouting report on you. They know every move that you do. They know every pick and roll and how you play, etc. So they're waiting for you. You're no longer the new guy who's just coming on and who that the defenses haven't had time to adjust to. So Donovan Mitchell this year is the number one offensive weapon of the Utah Jazz, and every team will start with him, planning for him before they plan for Gobert or Rubio, etc. Tatum is certainly the second option behind Kyrie, considered by the other teams, and also he's had to adjust to Hayward playing with him, etc. I think the Aaron Fox, on the other hand, was basically given free the keys to the Kings again, and no one was really expecting the Kings to be competitive and relevant to this league. So they've taken the league by surprise and rise to the level that they are right now when they're competing to the playoffs. So I think when you put it all into perspective, I think it's not that Tatum or Mitchell are playing bad. It's just that I think we were expecting much more from them, and so that's why we're a little bit disappointing.
Because they also, if you think,
but they're still very good. And I mean, Mitchell is still averaging 20 plus points per game, and Tatum had another big game today against a real contender, like against Philadelphia. So they're still there, and I think they're certainly going to be superstars for the foreseeable future. Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about it, also last year Boston didn't have Kyrie, they didn't have Gordon Hayward, and Tatum was amazing. Remember that dunk in Game 7 of the conference finals on LeBron? Yeah. That was great. But man, what do you think? Who would win a real game between the sophomores and the rookies now?
This is tough. This is really hard because I mean, if you look at it. What I would do is go position by position. So if I look at the starting point guard, you have probably Ben Simmons on one side and you have Doncic on the other. You have a shooting guard.
I would play the Aaron Fox with Ben Simmons. I would just alternate them, with the ball. That's what I would do.
So Aaron Fox. So what would be your starting five for the sophomores? You have Fox, Simmons, Mitchell, Tatum, and John Collins.
Yeah, man. Probably.
And on the other side, you'd have Doncic, Ayton.
I would definitely have Ayton, Bagley, Doncic, Trae Young, and to give you some.
Markkanen should probably be in the starting five as well for the sophomores. He's been excellent.
There are some really good players in there, but regardless, it's let's say the top 12 rookies.
You wouldn't have many rookies because you'd probably have to have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in there and
it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good, and good.
But he's not Tatum or Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm asking you.
So sophomores are winning. Sophomores win.
Sophomores are winning, and we also have Kevin Huerter from Maryland. He's really, really good. Even Wagner, we have Shamet. But I agree with you. And also we have a sample of 45, 50 games versus the others have 1 year. But last question of this really big topic. Do you think that the same thing that has happened to the sophomores this year is going to happen to this year's rookies?
I mean, you look at the expectations that everyone has for Doncic already. He's delivering, but I don't know how he's going to be next year. I think he's going to plateau. I don't expect him to suddenly average a triple double on the season. He might take it to another level, but he's already averaging 25 and 5, more or less. I don't have the numbers in front of me. So do you
Yeah, it's
expect him in
insane.
the second year to be 25, 6 and 6 and to be at LeBron like level? It's possible, but realistically, I think if he's 22, 4 and 6 or something like that, because now he's the starting point guard or whatever, that's maybe more realistic and more in
And
line
let's
with
not forget about the free agency and the fact that we will have Porzingis to get the ball to.
That's true. That's
So
true.
it's definitely gonna be interesting.
Aiton, I
Good.
think Aiton has room to grow. For example, I think in his second year, I think he will become a dominant force inside. Probably be a bit more weight as well on him and just more rugged to the NBA. Trae Young will probably be a little bit better. I expect it's interesting. I think the rookie class that we had last year certainly um, uh, performed much better than what everyone was anticipating. So that's why there may have been a little bit of a downside the second year. But on the other hand, I think the rookie class this year is performing well, but no one's blowing me away apart from Doncic to the point where I say, wow, like next year they're going to be superstars. So I think they're just going to be a more natural progression next year, and we'll get back to the norm of rookies just growing into the sophomore year, etc.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be any franchise player aside from Luka Doncic, probably because Marvin Bagley the third is in such a good and crowded team that is not going to be able to rise as a franchise player. And there's
Yeah.
also DeAndre Fox and whatnot. DeAndre Ayton, I'm not too sold on DeAndre Ayton. Maybe Jaren Jackson next year. But we'll see.
He still has to grow. Like he's still, I think, leading the league in fouls average per game. So he has a lot of room to grow. Yes, like today he didn't have a good game. Playing next to JV Valanciunas, he had to adjust. I think he played 24 minutes today versus the 30 minutes or so that he usually plays. He didn't have Mike Conley to distribute the ball to him, and suddenly he was a little bit more lost on the game. So like you can't expect necessarily a guy just to like when you don't have the ball in your hands, like Doncic or Trae Young, it's much more not difficult, but the game also depends on what the coach decision is to do. So if he says you have to feed the ball to Ayton or to Jaren Jackson Jr. every time, when we're on offense and in the paint, etc., for them to play or pick and roll or whatever. It's different to saying, well, you have to fit into a system where sometimes you might get your shots and some other times you may not, and you'll have to adjust to that. So, yeah, I think it depends. Yeah,
that's why it's also going to be interesting to have a look at, and we are developing this topic into like this massive land of discussion. It's going to be interesting to have a look at Trae Young next year. I've put it on Twitter today. I think that Trae Young, if you compare the start of the season to where the rookies are right now, is the rookie who has developed the most and the fastest. Why is that? Like, I was having a discussion with a Twitter follower. That's because he started very poorly. Like, he was coming out with lots of turnovers, awful shooting percentages. And right now, he's got a much better understanding of the NBA. He's adapted to the NBA very fast, very quickly. Not as many turnovers as in the past. Today, for example, he was in a clutch situation, and he actually got a 2-and-1 on LeBron, who, by the way, he's completely gassed out. And so I have high expectations for Trae Young. At the same time, they do have John Collins. They're going to have a high pick next year. I think he's going to be a good player. I don't think he's going to be a franchise player.
Well, we'll see. I think Marvin Bagley had a great progression as well over the year, but he just had more playing time as well. For someone who was in the starting five to start the season and really given the keys of the franchise, or very close to be given the keys of the franchise, like Trae Young, he certainly adjusted quite well. But that's much easier to do when you play 30 minutes a game every game, as
Yeah,
opposed
sure.
to
You're right.
Marvin Bagley or Jaren Jackson, who was not a starter to start the season.
Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Look, let's go straight into our second topic. It's the All-Star Game weekend. What are your top 3 favorite memories from the All-Star Game? It's as simple as that. What are your top 3 favorite memories?
The 2015 Skills Challenge won by Noah.
What? I'm like, what?
I'm kidding. Great question. I think it's funny when I think about All-Star Game, what comes to mind are like images or pictures. I see MJ versus Kobe, which is a vivid memory that I have of the All-Star Game. I see Shaq running the point in this image of Shaquille O'Neal just grabbing a rebound and running the point and then crossing over, doing a crossover on I don't even remember who. I see T-Mac with the alley-oop of the backboard.
Man, I was gonna say that. I was gonna
which
mention
was amazing at that time when we saw it. Now you even see that in game now these days. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I see. So it's these flashes that I have. Obviously, the Vince Carter slam dunk contest. These flashes that I have, and it's all kind of like in the 2000, 95 to 2000, 2002 kind of era that I remember from the All-Star Game. What about you? What are some of the memories that you have?
Oh man, I think that the first All-Star Game I remember was the one where Magic Johnson he returned just for the All-Star Game. He just declared to the world that he was HIV positive, and that last 3-pointer, it was like a rainbow shot, and it was amazing. But aside from that, 2001, when the East with Steph Marbury, with Dikembe Mutombo, Allen Iverson, they came back from a 20-plus point deficit versus the Western Conference. They had Shaq, they had Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Kobe. That was great, and that was amazing. And then the last Jordan's All-Star Game where he actually scored an amazing fadeaway shot on Kobe Bryant, but then someone fouled. I can't remember who actually. I think it was Jermaine O'Neal. He fouled Kobe, so they went to the overtime, and that wasn't the winning shot. But the All-Star Game, there are so many memories. It's gotten better, and I appreciate Adam Silver's choice to actually make it a much more competitive game, because let's say
do you
from
think
2000
it's more competitive?
I think so.
It's more competitive?
I
think we have one quarter where it's competitive, but or maybe 5 minutes in the fourth quarter where it's competitive.
Dude, it's definitely not as competitive as in 2000 or in the 90s. It's definitely more competitive than from 2011 to 2016, where it was just, hey, let's go there, let's get drunk, let's try to do some tampering, try to get some players to sign for my team next year.
I really enjoyed, the last play from last year where LeBron and KD trapped Steph Curry on that last play to prevent him from taking that shot. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was I think that was great. Like to see intensity, and also just guys. It was just guys playing basketball and kind of being happy to play with another player for this time around, and not caring that the other guy is your teammate. And I remember clearly seeing KD being very happy to win against Steph. and kind of like that, not rivalry, but obviously you're going against your teammate, and that makes you proud and happy. Like when I play against my teammates, that's when probably when I'm the most competitive, surprisingly,
Yeah,
just because I know them and I enjoy playing with them.
yeah, that's true. You
So that was a good
also
memory as
you
well.
also reminded me of the time. I think it was either Kobe's last or second to last All-Star game where he blocked LeBron twice. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's hope this year's All-Star game is he gives us big memories as well. And let's
we'll
get
see.
straight again into the third contest. And for the third contest, I'm going to talk about the 3-point. Sorry, for the
Contest.
third
Third
topic,
topic, 3-point
I'm going
contest.
to talk about the 3-point contest. Have you ever done it personally? So 25 shots.
In the All-Star game, yeah, you didn't see me in 2004.
Yeah, no. So 30 shots, 25 shots actually. Have you ever done it in 60 seconds?
No, I cannot say that I have done 30 shots in 60 seconds. I have done, I guess, similar to the 3-point contest where I take 5 shots per place and as fast as I can and try to make as many as I can. I've done that. It wasn't off the rack, which I think makes a big difference for shooters when they're shooting. So I haven't done it. I have done something close to it, but not. And I don't even know. Yeah, how quickly you need to shoot to get it done in 60 seconds. We should ask Joe
Man,
Johnson.
that must be, yeah, exactly. That must be really tough. So each shooting station is a rack with 5 basketballs. So there are obviously 5 shooting stations. So it's 25 shots in 60 seconds. Do you think it's more about who's the best 3-point shooter, or it's actually a balance of who's the best 3-point shooter, like how do you say, ratioed with the speed, with shooting speed?
I think it's not about who's the best 3-point shooter. I think it's about who can manage getting as many shots as possible in a short amount of time in a way that they are not used to making these shots. So I think in practice, you never or very rarely shoot off the rack. You shoot either off the dribble, so you're dribbling and then you're shooting, or you shoot off a pass. So your teammate is passing you the ball, or the coaching staff or whoever is passing you the ball, and then you shoot, which is very, very different to the movement of going to your left or your right to pick up the ball and then bring it up and then shoot it. And I think that makes a huge difference in why sometimes you expect, I don't know, guys like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson to win every year. And yes, they have won, but you always expect the best 3-point shooter from the league, or the one you think is the best 3-point shooter, to win every time, but they don't necessarily win every time. So I think there is a little bit of skill associated with shooting off the rack, and then the speed, as you said. Every NBA player can get usually those 30 shots in 60 seconds, but it doesn't mean that they're not rushing it. And if you gave them more time, they would probably make more 29 out of 30 or 28 out of 30, all of them.
Okay, so it's 25 shots.
Yeah.
Is it 25 shots? Yeah. So my question to you: who's going to win it? Devin Booker, Seth Curry, Steph Curry, Danny Green, Joe Harris, Buddy Hield, Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, Dirk Nowitzki, who knows if he's going to finish it, and Kemba Walker. Who's going to win it?
My money is on Buddy.
Buddy Hield over
Steph.
Over Steph. Dude, it was great to discuss the 3-point contest, but I got fouled. And you got
on
a
the 3-point shot.
On the 3-point shot.
There's one.
In Charlotte.
There's one great event in the All-Star game that we haven't spoken about, and yes, it is the skills challenge. Can we talk about the skills challenge?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? I actually turned the TV off.
I don't know. I mean, there's some highlights, and I see how, if you're there as a if you're a fan in the arena, that can be fun to watch. but on TV it just doesn't work well. And I think they haven't found a way to make it entertaining yet. I think they would be much better going off, like, say, a 3-on-3 or 2-on-2 or 1-on-1 between random players who sign up for that competition and just play mini games or like a tournament, and you declare whoever is the best player or 3 players or whatever. I think that'd be more fun to watch, for instance, as opposed to the skills challenge. No, I wanted to talk about the dunk contest, obviously, and I think we can all agree that the dunk contest has had its up and downs, but it's always one of the big events of the All-Star weekend, whether we like it or not. This year they have, I think, 4 players competing again: Dennis Smith Jr., Miles Bridges, Hamidou Diallo, and John Collins. It's going to be interesting to have a little bit of size again in John Collins to see what he can bring. I feel like, well, it may have been 15 years since we said that. There was kind of a time when people were saying, well, dunk contest is kind of dead. It's always the same dunk which is being done. And then Vince Carter arrived and did something amazing. There's been more interest recently with Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon, certainly, bringing some new dunks to the contest. Do you think that it's one of the events which hasn't necessarily been reviewed and changed over the last few years, apart from minor changes? Do you think that the dunk contest needs some drastic adjustments to make it fun and entertaining again? Say, for example, a suggestion would be play it like a horse competition. So player number 1 goes and does a dunk, and then the other player has to replicate it until one of them fails. I don't know.
That's definitely interesting. I don't think the dunk contest needs a change. It needs one player to elevate the dunking contest like MJ, Dominic Wilkins, like Vince Carter did. Because right now, you seriously need one player to get out there and do something extraordinary no one has ever seen, and further elevate.
That's really hard.
That's really hard, dude. That's really hard because these players are amazing athletes. Okay.
Yeah.
The average age of these players, if I'm wrong, like they're all rookies and sophomores, so obviously very young.
Yes.
It's going to be very difficult. You mentioned horse. Me, I would personally just I will eliminate the dunking contest and play a game of horse, or I will play a 3-on-3 tournament with 4 teams, 12 players, the 12 players that haven't made the 24 All-Starters cut. So
you say you eliminate the dunk contest, or you eliminate the skills challenge?
I will eliminate both. But okay. It's an exaggeration for the dunk contest. But what I do is I definitely get those 12 players to Charlotte and say, okay, you're going to play a 3-on-3. Got 4 teams, one against each other, and we'll see who's the best. And the top 3 are going to play in the All-Star game the day after, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to make it like the All-Star dunk contest. We'll see. Dennis Smith Jr. is probably going to show some really good skills. But seriously, dude, these athletes, unless you're gonna dunk from the 3-point line, that's not gonna. Like last year, who did this amazing dunk where, he went up so fast and then he went back down and then up again, or he probably touched the board and then down and then dunked it. I can't remember who he was.
Yeah,
but seriously, they're either very fast or there's no way you can actually shock and surprise an NBA fan right now.
I think there are. You remember that guy, that dude who came out from the I can't remember his name right now. Gee, we're really bad today. Can't remember his name. Who came out from the crowd during the All-Star game,
Yeah, yeah,
and
he's a
he's a
professional.
professional dunker, but he brought something which was new, and I wonder if they shouldn't just either bring professional dunkers, not necessarily to the competition, but to coach the NBA stars if you still want them to dunk, or bring them indeed to the competition and replace the NBA stars with these guys. The problem is then it becomes kind of just a show, and people are only mildly interested in this because, well, they're not the ones who make millions and who play in the NBA. So for the average fan, that
Yeah, but are
white
you
dude who can
serious?
dunk.
Like the average fan, do you think the average fan knows Miles Bridge? Do you think the
I think
average
he
fan
knows that.
knows
I
Hamidou
think he knows.
Diallo?
I
Nah.
think they know that these players play in the NBA, so they're supposed to be the best NBA players in the world, regardless of what they do. So they should be the best dunkers and the best three-point shooters and the best everything.
Oh wow. I disagree with you. I respectfully disagree with you. And you know what? I'm going to ask you the final question of the day, and we won't have to wait until next week or the following months because you need to give me the answer now. I'm going to look at you straight your eyes. Where are you? You're here.
I'm here.
Okay. So USA versus the world. Who are the two coaches? Do you know?
Yes.
You!
The two coaches are Dirk Nowitzki and Kyrie Irving. Boom!
Man, you got a point. Good on you. Good on you. Good on you,
Yes.
man.
I do my research before we chat, man.
Good, man. Okay. Well, I'm going
But I was
to.
very surprised to see Kyrie in there. I was like, why Kyrie? Like, if you're gonna bring Dirk, bring Wade, and then make them the stars of this weekend anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe they should have gotten Dwayne Wade in the dunk contest as well.
You're right, man. You're right.
All right,
Well,
cool.
we're done for the week. Our podcast. We can go home and prepare for the All Star weekend in Charlotte. It was supposed to be played in Charlotte in 2019, and then it got postponed because Charlotte was very gay and lesbian discriminatory. But regardless, there's going to be an All Star weekend in Charlotte. Super excited, man. As usual, thanks so much for joining me in this podcast. It's our episode 16. Super proud of what we are doing. For our followers, as you know, you can find us on Twitter, _4.play. Our podcast is on Spotify, it's on iTunes, and it's on Samy. Help me.
Google Play Music.
Google Play Music. I was going to say Google Podcast.
And Android, Google Podcast as well.
And Android as well. And man, final question: who's gonna win, Team Giannis or Team LeBron?
Team LeBron. He was much better at recruiting. Yeah.
All right, fine. I'm going to support Giannis, and that's it. That's a wrap for the week. Thank you so much, man. I look forward to your 3-and-1 topics next week. It's going to be great because there's not going to be any NBA. We should rest.
There's no NBA games. We might take a week off. Let's see.
Yeah, or we should rest, man, because after that it's gonna be crazy, and the Lakers are not gonna make the playoffs.
We'll see about that. It was good to talk to you again, man.
All right, man. Peace out. Thank you.
Cheers.